First, we start with your dynamic stretches. This is your bend and reaches. For 30 seconds or longer, you reach to the floor, you touch the sky. This stretches your low back, the hamstrings, the lats, which are the sides of your torso, and shoulders. Well done. Next up, torso rotations. The feet are hip width apart or wider. This is an attempt to warm up your low back and abdominal muscles. You're stretching the low back, you're activating the abdominals. 20 seconds. High knee hugs. This activates the hip flexors. Make sure you're standing nice and tall as you pull that knee into your chest. You are hugging the knee, hence the name high knee hugs. You're also working on balance and stability of the ankles, knees, and hips. Next up, you've got your toy soldiers or straight leg kicks for 30 seconds to a minute or long as you like. This one also activates the hip flexors. This stretches the back of your thighs, your hamstrings. As you're reaching the hands to the feet, you're kicking the feet up to those hands. The hands are at shoulder height. Stand nice and tall. Enjoy the stretch. Next up, you've got your alternating dynamic quadricep stretch. This stretches the front of your thighs. It's good for knee mobility, quadricep flexibility. Each time you reach that arm to the sky, you're pushing the hands to the sky as you're stretching those shoulders and lats. More balance and stability required here for this quadricep stretch. Next up are your floor sweepers. This stretches the hamstring, the calves. Each arm circle you make is for shoulder mobility. Big circle to the back, hands forward, sweep the fingertips across the floor, reach out in front, overhead, alternate the legs. Sweep, reach, up, back, around. Now switch legs, bow, reach to the floor, up, forward. It's a 1. YTWs, there's the back bend, the up salute. You return to center, open to east, west, that's your T. And then your W, hands down, and repeat. This opens and stretches the chest and shoulders in front of your shoulders. That activates your back muscles and gets shoulder mobility and activation. This back bend, that Y is a back bend. The W and T are standing up tall. So here, inhale up to Y, back bending, up salute, good. Front and center, T. Front and center, then W. Next up, you've got your dynamic chest stretches. We want to engage the core, navel into your spine, lace the fingers, use a yoga strap if you like. This stretches the front of your shoulders and your pec muscles, your chest muscles. Also, with those arms completely extended, you're stretching those biceps. The sun is out, and I see you got the guns out. Next up, you've got your bow and arrows to stretch the shoulders. Yes, stand nice and tall. As you release those arms, I need to see them go full expression. Straight arms out, 9 o'clock, and yes, and 1 o'clock. Correct. Straight arms as you release, and then swap them out. Perfect, Colin. 20 seconds. These are your bow and arrows. Looks like you're reaching back in your satchel, grabbing a bow. Next up, you've got your cat-cow to stretch the upper back and abdominal, warm up those core muscles. This is also excellent for hip mobility as you're tilting the hips forward and back. The chin drops in your chest for cat with an exhale, and then you inhale into your cow. 30 seconds or more. Next up, we've got our alternating bird dogs for hip shoulder mobility, for core strength, stability, and activation. Keep the hips square. Every time you exhale up, inhale down as you switch. Head comes up as you lift. You can lower the head as you drop the arms and knees. Next up, we have our quad rockers. Child's pose with an exhale. Inhale forward to cobra. This is also excellent hip mobility, shoulder mobility. It stretches the abdominals, the hip flexors, and the low back, which all are very tight. Benefits you to do this one at least a minute, 1 minute. Excellent floor bridge, excellent thruster, hip thrusters for 30 seconds or longer. Activates the low back, glutes, and hamstrings, but stretches the hip flexors. Awesome and amazing exercise to just build core strength and activate those core muscles in the abs and low back. 30 seconds or longer. All right, next up, we've got our full extension stretch. It's like an abdominal crunch. You're gonna hug both knees into your head and crunch the head up to the knees. And with an inhale, extend the arms and legs to the floor. We wanna get long and tight in both the legs and arms, and then ball yourself up to stretch the low back. And you're working ab strength, hip flexors, stretching the low back, stretching the abs. Next up, these are your floor wipers, not to be confused with your floor sweepers. This stretches the low back, builds core strength. Bent knees to modify it. It's less intense. Try it with straight legs to progress it. You got time to do that in the future. So the legs go to the right. I want you to gaze over your left shoulder, the opposite. And then when the legs go to the left, you turn the gaze to the right shoulder. Well done. So that stretches the neck and shoulders and low back while activating core and building core strength. So last but not least, we want to alternate the reclining pigeons or the hip cradles. You're going to bind the ankle on top of the thigh and knee. You're going to pull the opposite leg into your chest. This will stretch the hips, the glutes, and maybe even your inner thighs and hamstrings, depending on how tight they are. But you can keep the head and shoulders grounded as you work and stretch the hips, glutes, piriformis muscle.